Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. You know, one question I ask every guest on Everyday Martial Artist is about their favorite martial arts book. And there's never been one quite like Martial Theory by Steve Pearlman, described as the art of war for the martial artists. Martial Theory helps any martial artist or instructor take their understanding and teaching to the next level. And at martialtheoryU.com, you'll find a global community with instructor groups, Q&A with Steve, live events, and demonstrations to help you apply martial theory directly to your training. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Find Martial Theory on Amazon, and when you join martialtheoryU.com, use discount code EverydayMA for 20% off. That's under $20 a month for life. That's martialtheoryU.com, code EverydayMA. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is a martial artist whose journey spans continents, disciplines, and the intersection of physical skill and mental performance. Born in the Czech Republic, she began her martial arts journey back in 1999, exploring systems from Shotokan Karate to Kung Fu, before ultimately stepping into the world of mixed martial arts. Today, she's a professional MMA and Muay Thai fighter, a world champion in Kung Fu, and a black belt in karate. Her passion for Kung Fu led her to Hong Kong, where she lived independently for 8 years, earning a Ph.D. in sports psychology, teaching coaching at the university level, and sharing her knowledge with students from around the world. In 2022, she made another bold move, relocating to Thailand to pursue MMA professionally, turning pro at the age of 36. Alongside her fighting career, she continues to work as a researcher, presenting at international conferences and publishing in the relationship between psychology and martial arts. She is also the founder of the Kung Fu Scholars Program, where she coaches students online, blending traditional martial arts with modern approaches to mobility, strength, conditioning, and mindset, reaching practitioners in more than 15 countries across 4 continents. Please welcome my guest today, Verca Partikova. How are you doing today, Verca?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. In the last few months, I've had a lot of guests from other countries. So I'm getting better at dealing with the time difference and stuff. And I think you said we're what, about 12 hours difference?
Yeah, we have 12 hours exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you're 8:30 a.m. Friday morning?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Well, seriously, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you making it work with a crazy schedule like that. And I'm looking forward to learning more about you and hearing your story.
Sure, yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Well, I mentioned you started martial arts in 99, but what I want to know is what led to that? Where did that first interest come from? Kind of what kicked off your martial arts journey?
Oh, I'm not really sure because I wanted to start training when I was around, I think like 4.
Wow.
I came to my parents and I was like, I want to start martial arts. And they were like, no, you are a girl. You will go to ballet instead. I think I saw some Shaolin movies, probably.
Okay.
So like ultimately I wanted to be either a Jedi when I grow up or like a Shaolin monk.
Nice.
Yeah, so Jedi didn't really happen. So I guess I'm a bit closer to the Shaolin monk now.
Okay. Hey, well, there's still hope. You can still become a Jedi. Come on.
Yeah, there's still hope. Yeah.
That is cool. So then at about 4 years old, how long before you actually got to join then? How long did you have to wait?
Oh, I was 11 when I could start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you do ballet then for those 7 years?
I did, but they kicked me out quite early, like after a year or 2, because it was this like huge hall. I think there were like either karate or taekwondo people there training. Uh-huh. And I was just standing there and staring at them. So they they just kicked me out of the ballet class, So my parents was like, okay, now we try gymnastics instead.
Okay.
Yeah, and then until when I was 11, they were like, okay, we put you into karate.
How did gymnastics go? Did you enjoy that more than ballet?
No, that was the sport gymnastics.
Okay.
No, sorry, the modern gymnastics. So I didn't really like. I wanted to fight. I didn't want to do gymnastics. So Yeah, so it also didn't know.
How long did you do ballet and gymnastics for? A couple of years?
Oh yeah, maybe like year or two each, maybe.
Okay.
Not really sure. Yeah.
Now, thinking back, do you think that experience, like maybe learning about stretching and stuff, do you think that helped you with your martial arts later on?
Oh no, I was very small, you just like, I don't even remember what we did. So
Okay.
It was,
Okay.
it was just.
So then what finally led to karate? You finally wore your parents down when you were 11 and got them to agree. So how did they pick the school? Did you have any input, kind of what led to that first school?
No, I didn't even like think what kind of style I want to train. We basically just look for posters around the town. And what was closest to us, that's what we picked. So, that's how it went. So, I wasn't even like thinking I want to do karate or I want to do, I don't know, Wing Chun or something. It was just what was the closest one.
And at that age, that seems to be the answer for a lot of kids. It's whatever's closest, whatever's easier for mom and dad. So that.
Yeah.
So then was that first school, was that Shotokan or was that a different style?
Yes, that was Shotokan. Yeah.
So think back to that, your first one or two classes, kind of what that experience was like, what you remember about it, what made you want to keep going.
Oh, I was in heaven. I was, doing what I really wanted to do. Everything they would give me, I would do it like very happily, I came home and I took like notes, but I was 11, so I basically just wrote down how to like count in Japanese and put lots of stickers and glitter,
Okay.
We learned how to kick the front kick, and I don't know, like anything we would do, I was just like very happy to do that. So I was in my happy place.
And how long did you stay at that first school?
6 years.
Oh wow!
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So, do you remember your very first belt test when you got your first belt?
First belt? Not really. Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really.
Okay. And what about? Did you do tournaments? Did you get into competition?
Yes, I did. And like the first one were like kata, right? Like doing the routines, the forms.
Yep.
And then later on, I wanted to really I wanted to compete in kumite, and it was the traditional style of karate. So it was, I wouldn't say point finding. It wasn't like that kind of like sport karate type, but it wasn't full contact, So it was very like safe. But still, they were like, "Oh no, you are a girl. You go to do kata. Kumite is not for girls." So I had to fight for it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long before they let you fight?
Well, so this still wasn't full contact. My full contact fight was actually an MMA fight.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the right way to do it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So what about the first time they let you do kumite? How long had you been doing it? Do you remember what belt you were? How old you were?
Oh, I don't really know. Maybe like I don't know, green belt, maybe.
Okay.
3 years in, I guess.
Okay.
I don't really remember that. I cannot just like go back and like check on my phone or my parents' phone the pictures, because we don't have them, right? It's like, they are somewhere in the drawer.
Yep.
Maybe a video on a VHS. So we don't really have that.
Oh yeah. Yep. I remember that. Yeah. I still have videos of all my kids. I think I might have I don't know if my mom has any of me when I was doing it. I know I don't have any videos when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, but I know when I got into college and did it, I think I have some videos, not of tournaments, but I have videos of doing demonstrations, doing technique and breaking boards and breaking bricks and stuff. But yeah. So do you remember that the school you trained at, did you guys use I only asked this because I did Shotokan in high school, and one thing I remember was the Makiwara board. Did you guys have that at your school?
No, we didn't have that. Like most of the schools back then, they were just renting the space from like primary schools. So it was like, in the sports area. So, the equipment would be just maybe some pads if you were lucky. But otherwise, there was like no equipment that was true to martial arts, really. It was just about the space.
Okay. And you said about 6 or 7 years. So did you get your black belt at that school?
I got my black belt in the next school, in my second school.
Okay.
When I was 18, maybe.
Okay. So do you remember why you chose to leave that school and look for another one?
I guess I was just like looking for, like I overgrown like what the values around the school. Like I had like good relationship with everyone, but I was, I guess, looking for something like new or more. I don't know. I was a kid. I was 18.
Yeah. So when that first school, when you first started, was there like a specific kids class? Were you in a class with other adults?
Oh yeah, totally. That was a kids class.
Okay.
And I think as soon as I could, I started to help with like the younger kids. So, as
Nice.
soon as I was like yellow belt, I was like staying behind to help with like the white belt.
Okay. So that teaching kind of came very early for you. Okay.
Yeah. Very
That's
early.
kind of cool. And do you remember, was there pretty even boys and girls in the kids class, or were you one of the few girls, or was it pretty?
I think there was just a few girls.
Okay.
Not too many. Yeah, definitely it's better now, but just a few girls.
Okay. And then how did you find your next school? Did you go visit multiple schools and test them out and see which one you liked?
Well, you know the people like from the tournaments or like the events. So like I was just going to like people that I feel like I clicked with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I picked the next school.
And that was also Shotokan, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Very cool. And did you immediately start helping there and teaching there too?
Yeah. I was always, that kind of like kid who would like just come to the gym and like be there as long as possible and hang out there, because that was kind of my home. So if I could like help someone or get extra training, I would just be there. If I could, I would live there basically.
Nice. And you said even at that young age, even at like 11, you wanted to fight. So was that pretty much the driving force to stay with martial arts? You wanted to fight. You wanted to get into that ring. And
no, I think not really. I love the fighting part, but at the time it wasn't full contact, so I didn't really get the taste of it. So it was more like I love the theory of fighting.
Okay.
Because I didn't know yet how it actually feels. But I was more like driven to that idea of like, some kind of warrior that is, smart and have all these like morals and ethics and, doing right things and helping people and like training hard, really like this kind of like Shaolin monk somewhere in the mountains.
Yeah.
So that was the driving force for me, I guess.
Okay. And how long did you stay at that second Shotokan school?
A few more years, basically, before I started training Kung Fu at the same time, and then I just switched to Kung Fu completely. Okay. So yeah, a few more extra years.
And how did you choose Kung Fu? Did you have friends that were there? Or you just decided you wanted to add something more to your martial arts?
So I'm from the Czech Republic, and at that period of time, which was early 2000 maybe, we basically just had karate and we had judo. Okay. That was all we had, and most of that came like through maybe Russia or through like some. It was, to me, it felt like most of the instructors, they would never go to Japan. They never been there.
Okay.
It was what they could learn from other people or tapes or So it was, to me, it was not deep enough. So I was looking for something that would go deeper. Okay. And that was maybe the first 5-10 years of like Kung Fu really starting to grow. So I was going to these like exhibitions, and I basically just picked the school that I liked, not really looking at the style or anything. I was just like, okay, I like these people, I will come and try. And that's how I got to Hungar. So I didn't really know like what style it is or like, what's the difference. Okay. So I just picked like the feeling.
Once you picked that school and started going, what was it about it? What did you really enjoy once you started doing it?
Well, there was like, it wasn't like that we would learn the philosophy or, anything like that, like sit down and meditate, but you could feel like it was more present and like that it was more in depth. And the physical part was a little bit more like a boot camp, I would say. Mm-hmm. It was very challenging, and I guess I realized I like to do hard things. Nice. And the people like very nicely, like the bond was like very, very big. So all of these, I guess that was that was like a turning point in my life for sure.
Okay. And how long were you there before you decided to stop Shotokan and focus solely on Kung Fu?
Or maybe just like a year.
Okay.
I basically got my black belt. Mm-hmm. And for me, so I was really thinking about like whether it's correct to take the black belt exam when I know I'm not going to continue with karate. Mm-hmm. But then I came to conclusion that I'm basically just, continuing the path. It just has a little bit different like a form.
Right.
But it's still the same, basically. Mm-hmm. So I decided to take the exam. And after the black belt, it wasn't like I would be like, okay, I have a black belt, bye.
Yeah.
But eventually, I was like coming less and less. And I was really like enjoying the Kung Fu. So yeah, that's how it went.
Okay. And how long were you at that Kung Fu school?
You make me count a lot here. Wait, I don't know, 8 years maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then is that when you decided to move to Japan, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I was with them, and one year we went to Hong Kong for a competition. And when I got to Hong Kong, I saw the level of the details, the knowledge, the depth of that. And I was really frustrated and kind of even depressed, because I was like, it's like we are not getting that, or I'm not getting that in Europe. And so either I will just stop. I was like, stop, because there is no sense, no reason to keep going, or I will move to Hong Kong. So I decided to move to Hong Kong.
Wow. Once you decided, how long before you went back home, and it was a couple months and you were back there?
Yeah, so we went for the competition for 2 weeks. So that was my first encounter with Hong Kong. And then I was just doing my was it my master's? I think I was doing my master's. So I applied to go there as an exchange student for half a year.
Okay.
So I did that. I was doing my part of my master's there. And when I was there, I just decided, okay, I just gonna try to get a job here. I got back home, I finished my master's, and then I started applying to jobs, and also tried to get into a PhD program, which failed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it took maybe almost, I would say maybe 7-8 months of applying daily.
Wow.
Until I got a job. And on 24th of December, on the Christmas day, I got the letter from the immigration that I got the working visa and I could come.
Nice. What kind of job did you get to move over there for?
Sorry, the job?
Yes.
Right. So I was, for my master's and my bachelor's, I was studying social education, which is mix of sociology, psychology, education. But you are not going to teach in a school like a teacher. It's all the other things around. But that was not really something I could do in Hong Kong, especially if I would work with some minorities, you would have to speak their language and so on. So I couldn't. So the only job I could really get was teaching English. So because I was white, which is for many countries in Asia, the only certification you need for tutorial centers. So I could apply for that, and then in the letter for the immigration, I had to explain why am I applying as a native speaker if I'm coming from the Czech Republic when we actually speak Czech. So I had to be like, oh yeah, so I got this job, and when I arrived, they were like, oh, but your accent. So when there were parents around, I was not supposed to speak. They were like, shut up, don't speak. And if anyone asks you which country you're from, just tell them from Europe. If they ask you which country, you tell them Europe.
Wow, that's awesome. How long did you teach English for?
I think it took me a year to actually get into the PhD when I was there. Well, maybe less, half a year. Yeah, but so the job I got was very shitty, and I knew that when I was going there, but it was my ticket in.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I do it. It was 6 days per week, working in this tiny room without windows.
Mm-hmm.
You got half an hour break for lunch, and it was very stressful. I would have different groups at the same time. There was not really much about teaching. It was going through the textbook with them, so you would have a private student, and at the same time you would have 2 other classes, at the same time in one person. So that was crazy.
Wow.
So I eventually end up in the hospital because the stress was too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent my 7th day, the day off of the week, applying to other jobs, because it was, once you got the working visa, it was easier to get something else.
Okay.
And I eventually get into a press school center that were just opening. And so they took me in, and I did for them. I made all the curriculums and the programs for the kids, and all the activities and so on. And basically at the time when they start getting the kids, that's when I got accepted into the PhD.
Nice. And I suppose that was kind of more up your alley, because with your how much you enjoyed teaching, designing that, it must have been pretty enjoyable at least. When you had the teaching English job and the other job at the press school, were you able to study Kung Fu at the time, or were you just too busy working?
Yeah. So I was training with my Sifu still, a few times per week.
Okay.
But it was really hard. I was the entire Hong Kong time of my life was very hard, and it's basically only now when I try to when I start to realize that how hard it was. But yeah, the first half a year or year was very tough.
Okay. And then once you got into the PhD program, was that a little more free time? You could train more in Kung Fu also? Or not really? Was that more busy even?
Yeah, not really, because
okay.
So the PhD in Hong Kong is not really, you are not really seen as a student, but more as an employee of the university.
Okay.
So you have to like sign in every day, at 9, and you get maybe 10 days off per year, or 14 days off, I don't remember, per year. So you don't have holidays, you don't have you don't have that. So then when I went to like conferences and met the other students of like other countries, other universities, I was like, that's not fair.
That's not fair. Wow. That's not fair at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so basically you are expected to like really sit there, full day at your desk, ideally on the weekends too, because the longer you are seen sitting at the desk, the more harder they think you work. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, if you do nothing, if you are very slow, still like you would be seen as a hardworking person. So I had quite lots of trouble, because I would do my job and then I would go training. So that was, I was trying to talk about the work-life balance, and that was totally like foul language in Hong Kong.
Yep. Wow. And how long were you in the PhD program? Because you said you were in Hong Kong for 8 years.
8 years, yeah. So 3 years in the PhD, because you get 2 ways of like financing it. Well, the first way was a fellowship, which is like a government level of a studentship, but only 200 people around get this per year for all the universities together. So it's very competitive, and you need to get lots of good connections to be able to get in. The second way, and that's what I got, was the university studentship. But you only, like both cases, you only get this for 3 years. And after 3 years, you are done. Like you don't get anything else. So if you don't finish, then, you are just, can I speak bad here? Can I say?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. You are just fucked.
Okay.
Because you have no money, you cannot work, you have no working visa. And like, even when you were studying, the studentship keeps you alive, but there is not really like student accommodation. Everything is very expensive. So most of the students, they will end up doing some illegal work just to be able to pay for like their food and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to finish in 3 years.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny, because, if I was doing PhD in my country, it would take me maybe 7 years or so, because you would also be really like working for the university, doing other things. But here you have to really focus on that and just like be done in 3 years.
Wow. Then how long did you stay after you got your PhD? How long did you stay in Hong Kong?
I think it was another 2 years.
Okay.
You should have let me know before we recorded. I would draw like the entire timeline of my life.
That's
so
okay.
I would know.
It's better this way. It's more natural.
Yeah, I got into a university, the continuing education.
Okay.
So I was working as a program manager and lecturer, and so I was teaching some like research methods, and I was teaching coaching. It was like a sport degree, so like bachelor students, undergrad students, and like leading their thesis for year 2, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What led to the decision to move to Thailand?
So at that time, I was already training some MMA as well. So basically a few years before I left Hong Kong. So because I was teaching Kung Fu already for some time, and my fear was that there were lots of people teaching Kung Fu, but having no experience with being hit or, being in the fight. And I didn't want to teach theory. I didn't want to teach dancing.
Right.
So I was really afraid of that. And in Hong Kong, the Kung Fu is taught very much like forms, not really like no contact, no drills.
Mm-hmm.
And like back from the Europe, I was more used to do like contact drills. And when I spoke to my Sifu, my Kung Fu teacher, he was like, oh yeah, we used to do like sparring and fighting and so on. But like now people don't want to do it. They don't want to touch, they just want to, come, chat, do forms and go home. So I was like, okay, I need to find a way how I can how I can put my hands on the fight, So I was going to like boxing, sanda, and one of them I tried was MMA, and then slowly I totally fell in love with that. So Yeah.
And then, so you did MMA while you were in Hong Kong, and then you decided to move to Thailand to do Muay Thai and more MMA?
Yes, so it was. So I came to Hong Kong every time, maybe three. Sorry, I came to Thailand from Hong Kong maybe 3 times.
Okay.
Training camp for like 5 days, and it was fun, very, very funny because people here they would come here to Thailand, and they would be staying like 3 months, 4 months, doing the training camp. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm staying 5 days. And they were like, what? Because I had no holidays, I couldn't take any holidays. The only holidays I had to spend to like go home and see my family.
Yeah.
So only if there was like Chinese New Year or some kind of like, public holiday, I could come. So that's when I realized I have to change jobs. I cannot work in academia anymore. So I could be more flexible.
Okay.
And so I was coming here like every maybe half a year to Thailand. And then COVID happened. And in Hong Kong, COVID was very tough, like very tough. And so one time I managed to get home for Christmas. And then when I was coming back, I decided to make a stop in Thailand. And I knew I would get stuck here. So I did it. I got stuck in Thailand. Nice. And so I was basically thinking, should I move here? And then I decided, okay, I will do it. So I gave myself 1 month to get back to Hong Kong, pack all my things, get all the paperwork for my dog and just move here. And like, I was like, okay, no time for thinking. Like, I cannot think about this at all. I just do it. Because, I changed my life completely in Hong Kong and just like moving out from there. And it was one-way ticket out because my dog would have to quarantine for 3 months if we went back. So that was no way.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm losing all of this I'm having here. I was like, coming to like these Kung Fu celebrations, events, all the Chinese people would know me as like the only, white female, practitioner. I was I wouldn't say famous, but like people knew me and, I had my life in Hong Kong and it was very hard, but still, I built something there. And so I had to like, just, throw it out of the window to be able to move to Thailand.
Right. Did you have your first MMA fight while you were still living in Hong Kong, or did that not happen until you got to Thailand?
Yes, so I had my first fight when I was in Hong Kong, and it was after like 3 or 4 months of training. So it's also not what I would recommend to anyone. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was basically like if a truck would hit me. I had that feeling, that something like hit me really hard, and I had no idea where is it coming from. I didn't know where it's up and down, and eventually I was choked in the second round. It was all just pure chaos. It was horrible, and I hated it because I had no control over the fight, and I was so hungry after that to do it again, to do it better.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was actually I have lost lots of my fights. So I'm not one of those people who would be like start fighting and eventually like get better and winning all these things and get motivated. I'm the opposite. I was losing lots of my fights, but I was still going.
Yeah. How many fights did you have in Hong Kong before you moved to Thailand?
Oh, in Hong Kong, numbers again. Maybe so I had 13 amateur fights.
Oh wow.
Most of them were, or let's say 7 of them before I moved to Thailand, but not all of them were in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Some of them I had to travel to to Thailand or to Taiwan or
Nice.
So like that, something like that.
Nice. And then when you got to Thailand, I mean, did you already know where you were going to be training because you had gone there for fight camps before? Did you already have an idea who your instructor would be?
Yes. So I basically came to the same people I was coming for the training camps before for the holiday thing. But I stayed there for maybe 2 years, 1.5 years, 2 years.
Okay.
And then eventually I moved to a different gym where I'm now, the Phuket Fight Club.
Okay.
And that's where that's my home right now.
Very cool. And how often are you fighting right now?
Well, that's like not really something you can control, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
So like last year, it took me 11 months to get a fight. So I only got 1 fight last year. This year, so far, nothing. I got 3 that fell through. So it's really challenging to like get. If I was fighting Muay Thai, I could go and fight every 2 weeks. That's no issue.
I was just going to ask that. Any interest in fighting Muay Thai or no?
No, not really. I did 5 fights in Muay Thai, but I just don't really like the training of Muay Thai because especially here it's kind of the same. Like it's very repetitive, and it's like very different way of teaching and training. And so usually in the gym you have a team for Muay Thai and then you have a team for MMA. They don't really mingle. And so for my MMA training, I have different session every day. I do wrestling one day, and the other day I do like boxing, and I really love that. And the intensity also is like sometimes up, sometimes down. It's more like smarter approach, I would say. Okay. For me, like the coaches, like the conditioning. It's not about you go and run 10 km before training, but there is other ways how to build your conditioning. And I really like that kind of like thinking and training. So I would fight Muay Thai. I just don't want to train Muay Thai. So that's basically why I don't fight Muay Thai anymore.
Hey, that makes sense. So talk about the Kung Fu Scholars Program, kind of what led to that and where that idea came from, and a little bit about that.
Sure. So I moved to Thailand, and I had some students in Hong Kong. I taught at the university. I had some courses, and like privately also, and I had like groups and like personal students, private students. And when I moved here, some of them were like, "Oh, can we just keep like training with you like online?" And that never really like crossed my mind that I could do that. And when I was here, I was working and training twice per day. I didn't have time to like go and train someone in person because I wasn't really like I wasn't in control of my schedule. So I was like, okay, maybe I could do something online. And then I don't know if you realize, but there are lots of crazy people in the martial arts world.
Yes, there are.
And then if you go online, it's even worse.
Yeah. Yes.
And then suddenly there is this like, oh, become a Shaolin monk in 2 months express, and here is a free T-shirt, things like that, and like certification, or just pay me $2,000, And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do that I am not one of those people.
Right.
So I did, still in Hong Kong, actually, I did like a short online course, which is good because then I realized, okay, this is not what I want to do. Because what I really enjoy is really the interaction with people, the coaching, the giving feedback, really like the personal coach type of, relationship. Like, people from fitness, they know it very well. You have either the group classes or you have your personal coach, and, that person is like really taking care of you, like how you feel, what you eat, how you sleep, etc. So that kind of work I was interested in. So then slowly I created this like coaching program, Kung Fu Scholars, that would like combine the traditional training, but with like modern methods. Because even in Hong Kong, I would be like coming with like my own ways how to train things. Yeah. Because one thing, you have the techniques, you know what you train, but how you train it, no one really tells you. It's just like, oh, you just keep repeating that. I was like, oh, that's not the most effective way. And at the time, I'm also like getting ready for like the World Championship, and so I was training alone a lot. And I remember one time a kid came to me and I was working on my stances. So I was like training the footwork, and he came to me and he was like, "Are you not going to train Kung Fu today?" Like in his eyes, this wasn't it, because I was just training my legs. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I wanted to make sure that I come with, ways how to make people train like in a mindful way and like effective way. Especially since like it's nothing bad, but like the time has changed and we don't really have hours per day to go and spend on our Kung Fu, because we have other things, we have family, work, other responsibilities. So you need to do it in an effective way. And lots of people are getting, losing their interest and motivation. And there is always like this very few in the group that would be like, oh, I love it, I want to really go in depth. And they would do the numbers, do the volume, do the drilling. They would do that. So, that will happen anyway. But I wanted to like make sure that people train in the way that they can do this long term and they are having fun and they are doing it in an effective way. So that's how I built that. And also I put some mobility in strength and conditioning, prehabilitations, plyometrics to really take care of the body. Because now, we sit all day at the computer and then we go and we sit in the Kung Fu stances and we thought, oh, this is supposed to make me healthy, right? Yep. And no, suddenly your knees hurt, your back hurt, because like, of course, you're not taking care of your body. So, people don't know how to warm up. They just start stretching like, oh, that's not that. No. And also I put some theory in. So, for every 2 practical sessions, there is 1 theory session. Okay. So this is about like Kung Fu terms or Kung Fu culture or some stories, but also on the psychology part, like anxiety, motivation, stress, all these kind of things, or some practical like exercises to like deal with different situations and so on. So it's this kind of like whole package. Okay. And then I'm in touch with like everyone a lot, like on messages, on like live calls. Some have also live sessions, and they send me like their videos of the training, and then I can like draw into the video. I can talk around like about what they do right, what they need to like do better, and then I send it back to them. So it's really like back and forth communication. It's not like an online course.
Very cool.
So that's what is Kung Fu Scholars basically in summary.
That's good. So I want you to think back then. You said back all the way back when you were in Shotokan and you were like a yellow belt. You started helping teach. You started helping teach the young kids. All the way to now, you're still teaching to this day. You're still coaching. Over all those years, what do you think has changed the most about your teaching style?
Well, I sucked. Like if I look back at, I remember like some times when I was teaching, and I know it was very bad. So sometimes I think about that. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so happy that I was able to like evolve somehow. I guess what I do differently now is really like the methods has changed. So I put methods in. So there were no methods before. It was just about, you just keep repeating that. And then someone like your sifu, your sensei would come and they would be like, not good enough. Keep going. And you keep repeating that again and again, and then that's not what I think is like effective way. Like you need the repetitions for sure, but lots of people, they lose their concentration, then the form starts to like lose the quality, and bad habits start to like get in. And so more like how, like think about like how. So yeah, I guess what changed is that now I'm more about solving the problems. Okay. So like I know what is the problem with specific techniques, like what the problem, like what usually what people have, what the problems are. So now I try to come with methods that would like make sure to address those things before they happen and break it down, and come back in cycle, so you keep repeating things on a cycle kind of like system. Yeah, I guess like also what I took from karate, which we don't really have in Kung Fu, or Hungar, is like the structure and the way how we organize things. Okay. Like, in karate, you would have everything. The Japanese style is very organized. You have everything in boxes, you have system. And in Kung Fu, since also you don't have any belts there, you would just like get things thrown at you. And if you stay long enough, then you would learn, like kind of like a sponge, you would like soak in the information, but no like real like structure, like how to come from A to B. And, so I guess this is also what like creating the curriculum is also what changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Talk a little bit about your writing. I noticed on your website, you've written like a dozen academic papers, and you also have a free ebook on there. What led to your love of writing and enjoying doing that?
So the PhD I did in Hong Kong was actually on martial arts.
Okay.
So my research was on psychological collectivism and mental toughness in traditional Chinese martial arts. So basically I was looking at like how people get collectivistic, or like, creating this kind of like bonds and other things around the community, and also how if they become mentally tough from training. So, and I came to some of the conferences. I had to publish as part of the PhD. It's like if you don't publish, you cannot finish. Yeah, and then this year, I got my paper published that I wrote years ago. I kind of forgot that it existed. Mm-hmm. And when I got the message, I was like, oh yeah, I actually like can get back to it now again. So I went to 2 conferences just recently, like in March here in Bangkok, which was like very awesome.
Okay.
The spirituality and psychology and happiness and well-being conference, and wrote some more papers. And yeah, in July I'm also going to another conference, the martial arts studies, which is also a very cool one. That's one I've been to as a PhD student last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the free ebook that people can get on your website?
This is for like people who are totally new or people who are like not very happy with the experience they had so far with martial arts.
Okay.
And this ebook, there are lots of like videos and some exercises you can try like right away. More like a taster of like how things can be done differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any plans of writing another book?
Well, I was told a few times just recently that I should write a book.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess it's on the to-do list somewhere in the future, but I kind of feel too young to do that. Like I feel like you should be like older to write a book. I don't know.
I know. So my daughter's 19, and a good friend of hers published his book before he graduated high school, his first book. So,
Nice.
So yeah, never too young. Come on. That's awesome. Talk about your podcast. When did that start and what can people hear on there?
Or maybe when did it finish? Because it's kind of asleep for a while now.
Okay.
So it's called Fight Waves.
Okay.
And it was more about like what's happening behind of what you can see, like MMA fights or Kung Fu training, like stories, more like personal things. So it's basically just me talking to my mic and laughing to my own jokes.
Okay.
And I think I did around 10 episodes and then I stopped. It's not like totally done. It's just sleeping.
Okay.
Because everything I do myself, so I run my website, I do my blog, my marketing, everything. And it's just like too many things. So I had to let something go, but I would love to get back to it again.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll have to listen to a few episodes because I'm the same way. I do everything on my own, with all my stuff I do. So I know it can get very crazy and busy, but that's okay. So over all your years in martial arts, starting all the way back from, Shotokan to Kung Fu and Muay Thai and MMA and everything, is there one philosophy that you've learned that is just super important that's at the top of your list?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of things.
Okay.
Taking care of yourself is really important and like more important than you kind of think.
Yes.
And it gets more and more important the older you get. And not only like taking care of your body, like physically, but also like mentally and just like giving the importance to yourself, like not always like putting you on the sidetrack. If I have time in my day, I would just like treating the care of yourself in any way. Like it doesn't have to like be training martial arts. It can be whatever, but like treating it as something that needs to have like its slot in your calendar and like the importance of number one. Because otherwise you get burned out very easily and, you cannot like pour out of an empty cup, take care of your kids and what's on.
Yep.
Another thing is I have a goal board here on the top. It says, I believe in me. I guess that's like having the vision of something, even though you don't know how you achieve it, but still just, believing that you can.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I like that. All right. So you've studied karate, you've studied Kung Fu, you've studied Muay Thai, MMA. Is there a style that you still want to learn that you maybe haven't had the chance to, but a different style you'd like to train in?
Yeah, there are lots of styles that I like, but also the styles I do now, I feel like I'm not good enough, that there is so much things I still have to learn.
Okay.
So like, I could go and I really like Paki, I really like Choi Fat, but I don't want to get shallow. And right now I'm really enjoying boxing.
Okay.
I think that's quite natural because, in Hungar, we have more strikes than kicks. So like boxing is like very close to us. So I love boxing a lot, and I would love to do some license in like as a boxing coach. And I love MMA, and there's so much to learn. I'm enjoying wrestling a lot. So
okay,
like you need that in a lifetime. Like that's like impossible to do everything.
That's good. All right, how about a worst martial arts related injury? Have you had any bad injuries, or have you been pretty lucky?
Worst. I have few from MMA that, like, I don't know, like I got sprained ACL on my knee and I had some other knee troubles and my neck and I don't know. So, but the funny one I have from Kung Fu, I was training alone in the gym and I was using the butterfly knives.
Ooh, okay.
And butterfly knives are like short but very wide knives, basically. They were used to cut fish before.
Okay.
And so I was doing this movement where you kind of in like a circle motion, bring the tips of the knives around your knee and up. And I didn't miss my knee. I stabbed myself in the knee, and then there was blood coming out and like making this like big puddle under my leg. And I was looking at it, and I thought it's very funny. So I took my phone and I called my seafood at the time. I was like, I'm bleeding. I think I just stabbed myself. I was like, what?
Wow.
It was like, how deep it is. I was like, I don't know. I was like, put your finger in there. I was like, what?
Wow.
So anyway, I kind of like put some ice on it. I stopped bleeding. I went home. I sit down on the chair. And then the next day, I couldn't move my knee at all. It was like totally like stuck.
Wow.
So I went to the hospital, and they wrote in the note something like, she stabbed herself with an old knife or something like that.
Wow. Okay, that's a new one. Okay. I like it. So you mentioned knives. Do you have a favorite weapon that you've got to train with over your career?
I love a long stick. That's
okay.
I guess, yeah. I like a long stick and a broadsword.
Okay.
That's my two most favorite weapons, I think.
Nice. All right, I got some fun questions we use to wrap up the interview. So
okay.
I know you do pro MMA, so I got to ask, what's your MMA walk-up music? What song's playing when you take that walk into the cage?
Okay, so I have been fighting at smaller promotions so far.
Okay.
And I was never able to choose my walkout music.
Really?
Yet. Yeah, but once it was still for my amateur fight though in Thailand.
Okay.
They made it very cool. It was like all amateur event, but you would go through this like gate to the cage, and there was a rapper walking in front of you and rapping.
Really?
And like singing and taking you to the cage. That was amazing. Yeah. I don't know what he was saying, but it was very cool.
That's so if you got to pick your song, is there a song you have in mind if you get to pick it for one of your fights?
I have to open my playlist. I have a playlist of that, of course, when I visualize, and then my Apple Watch is like, are you training right now? Because my heart rate goes up. I really like Paradise from Coldplay.
Okay.
So maybe that.
Okay.
Or another one is Get Lucky from Daft Punk.
Okay. Nice. Some good music. All right. So if I was to ask you if you had to pick 3, 4, 5 names to put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts, they can be people you've trained with and really look up to. Some people pick like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. It's completely up to you, but like 3, 4, 5 names that you'd kind of put up on a pedestal up there on Mount Rushmore.
Well, when I was growing up, Jackie Chan was the person I was like,
nice.
That was like my biggest like idol.
Yep. Especially
in the old movies, like the Golden Harvest movies, like the Drunken Master and this. I like Jet Li in the Once Upon a Time in China. I also like the older movies. But I guess I would just put my coaches.
Okay.
Because they are real people, and like I love Jackie Chan very much, but he didn't go to like a martial arts school. He went to a Cantonese opera school.
Yep.
So I would still put I would put names that you don't know, but it would be like my MMA coach. It would be my boxing coach.
Okay.
My Sifu. Yeah, maybe like even like any all the coaches that like ever trained me.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Jackie Chan and Jet Li are on my wish list for guests to get on the show someday. I'm really hoping one of these times I'll get one of those guys on my show. My 300th episode is coming up later at the end of the year, and I want to get a really big name for that. So I'm trying to get like
fingers crossed.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping. We'll see. So all right, how about a favorite martial arts book?
I don't know the title, but I love the old Bruce Lee's books.
Like Tao of Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah, he wrote a few of them.
Bruce Lee fighting method, I think, were his couple other ones.
Yeah. That one that I get to read them when I was doing my PhD, because one of the best things of that was that I could get any book in Hong Kong, and there was lots of like martial arts books.
Oh yeah.
I would read everything I could, even though it was in Chinese and I couldn't understand it, but at least I look at the pictures, and so on.
Nice.
And with Bruce Lee, I'm not really a fan of his movies that much, but I love his books and like the way how he structured things and he organized things. So that one.
Okay. How about a favorite martial arts video game?
Video game?
Yep.
Well, Mortal Kombat probably.
Nice. That's a good one. All right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Oh, that's it was David Carradine.
Kung Fu. Okay.
Yeah. Well, is it? It doesn't have a longer name. It's just Kung Fu.
The original one was
the
Kung
Legend.
Fu. Yeah, the one in the 90s was Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. That was the sequel series.
Yeah.
The original.
Oh, the second one. Yeah. So the first one. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I'm one of the few people who actually liked the second one. Not a lot of people did, but I actually enjoyed that one. But I like the first one too.
Yeah, the first one. Yes. Yeah.
So I have to ask then, have you watched the show Warrior yet?
I think I did, but just few episodes.
Okay. That's really good. That's a good show too. So
yeah.
How about a favorite martial arts movie?
It will be something from Golden Harvest with Jackie Chan.
Nice.
Maybe The Drunken Master.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that one too. Good. All right. Now this one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've seen in your whole life, a favorite movie fight scene, just one fight scene that jumps out.
I used to do workshops for public where we watched fight scenes from like movies, and then we would like recreate like those like parts of those scenes, which like people who never fought or like never trained martial arts before.
That's awesome.
It was so much fun. Yeah,
that's so cool.
I don't know. I really like the one in Ip Man, the one on the table with Sammo Hung.
Yep.
Because you can see the Hungar there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that one, but yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Before I let you go, is there anything I forgot to mention or that we still want to get out there? And when this comes out, I'll put episodes to your website and everything and your ebook and your Instagram, whatever else you want me to. But is there any last minute stuff you want to get out there before we wrap it up?
No, I think we kind of cover everything. Like, thank you so much for having me. I'm just happy I can be doing what I'm doing and like getting more people to train. I got a trial on my website for people to just like try the training, so because I know the first step is the most difficult one.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's all.
Okay. So they go to the website and click start here, and that's where they can get the trial?
Yeah, either that or there is a trial button. Okay. But anything, and if all the buttons, it just leads to me, so like I will pick you up anywhere you end up. Awesome.
That is cool. Because I'll promote the heck out of it and get it out there. But seriously, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I love your story. You're really good at storytelling, and I do hope you write.
Thank you.
I really hope you write another book, hopefully. And and when you find out when your next fight is, let us know. We'll tell people about it. If there's a way for them to watch it and cheer you on, we'll do that. But seriously, this has been so much fun, and
thank you so much.
Yeah, I think the listeners are really going to enjoy this.
Thank you.
Wrap up today's episode by taking your own training to the next level with Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, the book that's redefining martial arts thinking. Find Martial Theory on Amazon today. Join the worldwide movement at martialtheoryu.com, where you'll find Q&A sessions, live events, and direct guidance from Steve himself. Use code EverydayMA for 20% off for life. That's martialtheoryu.com, code EverydayMA. Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.